We be live.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Oh, we have Patreon questions. This time I didn't forget. Last time, Secular Rarity had some questions, and I forgot to ask them ahead of everyone else. So we're going to address the questions in the live chat. But first, let's address the questions that our patrons sent us. Oh, by the way, if you can't join us live, this is how you could get your questions answered. You could become a patron, and on Patreon, under the comment section, you could post your questions as a comment, and that's way, if you're not here, we could still address your comments if you don't have the time to just be here exactly when we go live, right? So let me actually put Anne's question. I hope it puts it in one piece. Nope, it didn't put it in one piece. But it's in two pieces. Okay, so Anne is asking, and then after that is Dee's question on Patreon. I already asked Susanna about this, though. Is it possible to one day look into the claim that the Bible isn't homophobic and that is just a mistranslation from bigots who want to conflate? It's good that it's in two pieces because I'm not going to highlight the second part because we could get in trouble. It's predator people, like it means is she's saying that maybe it's about some other bad behavior, when it comes to people who are not adults. Maybe it's about that. That's nonsense. I mean, the only people who are saying that are people who are trying to act like the Bible is not homophobic. There are so many verses in the Bible that is clearly about, condemning men being with other men. It's pretty much not me, YouTube, the Bible. Don't come at me. Go on.
Well, she was when she asked me about this, she was asking us to do like a full episode unpacking is or is not the Bible homophobic, or these verses legitimate evidence for homophobia.
We got in strikes for reporting on other people's homophobia and YouTube thinking it was us who were being homophobic, right? So I don't know if YouTube is going to let us do this. Like, and we appealed these things, and YouTube is like, nope. It's, like, it wasn't us. We were just telling you what other people were saying. We were against that. They're like, nope, you're being hateful. Here's a strike. Congratulations, bye. I'm like, okay, we're not going to talk about this anymore. Thank you, YouTube. YouTube sucks. But I mean, this has been like, look at the people who are making those claims. They're not biblical scholars, right? They're not people. They are people with agendas. Oh, well, apparently not. Go on.
So, because you asked me, okay, can you pull up those verses? So I just Googled like Bible verses used to condemn homosexuality. And I found this article published in an academic journal called 7 Gay Texts, and it's published in Biblical Theology Bulletin, Journal of Bible and Culture. 7 Gay Texts, Biblical Passages Used to Condemn Homosexuality by Robert K. Gunuse. There are 7 texts often cited by Christians to condemn homosexuality: Noah and Ham, which is Genesis 9:20 through 27, Sodom and Gomorrah. I'm not going to go through all the verses because, basically here's the argument. The author believes that these do not refer to homosexual relationships between two free, adult, loving individuals. They describe R, meaning a very bad thing where you force someone to do something, or attempted R. Cultic
non-consensual relationship.
Yes. Cultic prostitution, male prostitution, and pederasty. Or the ISIS cult in Rome, meaning about the goddess, not the radical group. But I can't even say that because of YouTube. So if the biblical authors did assume homosexuality was evil, we do not theologize off of their cultural assumptions. We theologize off of the texts we have in the canon. The author attempts to introduce new arguments into this long-standing and passionate debate. So here's an example of someone, I'm not sure if this person himself is a theologian, but he's publishing in biblical theological journals, who argues that it is not accurately condemning homosexuality.
Well, so what about the verses that says, condemning specifically a man lying with another man? It doesn't say anything about. First of all, this is nonsense. Okay, like I'm gonna change the standards now. It seems like I'm being a hypocrite, but I'm gonna do it anyways. You could find one odd, person with a paper publishing it somewhere, but that is just disagrees with the mainstream idea of what these translations are, right? But I find it hard to believe that the Bible was talking about non-consensual relationship when the issue of consent is not even a concept in the entire goddamn Bible, right?
At least for women, it isn't.
Yeah, well, nowhere there's this is not like a way that the Bible categorizes different sexual relationship. Like consent is not a concept that is even introduced. So the idea that these were specifically about non-consensual relationships that is being condemned is laughable. Like that's it's ridiculous. It's a desperate attempt to whitewash the Bible. It's so obviously so. I don't even know how could it it's condemning men being with other men, and people are like, oh, it's about non-consensual relationship. It doesn't say so. It doesn't say so. It doesn't say so anywhere in the Bible. Go on.
So you were talking about Leviticus chapter 18, verse 22, which is from the King James edition. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind, it is an abomination. Or you should not sleep with a man as with a woman, it is detestable, that kind of thing. But this author is arguing that specific verse does not refer to a free, loving, what did he say? A free, loving, same-sex relationship. But he says this specific verse refers to cultic prostitution.
So that is actually the perfect Bible verse to show how ridiculous this author is saying. By the way, we're finding remember, when you're trying to figure out what's true or not, don't go finding one person that published something is not a very good way of measuring things, because you will always find people in your, supporting your argument if you look hard enough, right? By the way, that specific Bible verse is saying one should not lay with a man as one would lay with a woman. So if somebody is saying this is about non-consensual predatory relationship, so that is hold on, let me finish this and you could say what he's actually saying. Because I heard some people suggesting that therefore this would mean that one could do that with a woman. You know what I mean? Like if you're thinking that the Bible is only condemning predatory non-consensual relationship, well, this Bible verse is saying don't do that with a man as you would do it with a woman. So is the Bible now endorsing predatory non-consensual relationship with women? Do you know what I mean? Like the only difference, the thing that is being condemned here is with the man part compared to the only factor that is changing between these two scenarios that makes them one of them okay and the other one not okay in the eyes of the Bible is that one is man with woman and the other one is man with man. But go on.
So his claim is not that verse is in regard to non-consensual sexual relationships, not that verse. That verse he's saying has to do with cultic prostitution. Okay,
again, whatever you want to say about that, then is cultic prostitution okay with women and not with men? Like, look at the verse. The verse is you could come up with whatever you want. The verse in the Bible is saying whatever is okay with women, that behavior is not okay with men. You could be like, okay, well, this is about this specific sexual relationship. Well, whatever that is, the Bible is saying it's okay with women, not okay. The thing that is changing is the gender of the person you're doing it with. Nothing else seems to be changing. If you think there are other things that are changing, well, the Bible is not saying it. That's your imagination. All right?
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy. Anyways.
Well, I just did a Google on this professor. I am not sure about his. He's a distinguished professor in the chair of the Department of Religious Studies at Loyola University in New Orleans, which is a Catholic university. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's Catholic, but it's interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He is an idiot no matter what. Whether he's a Catholic or an atheist, I don't care. He's dumb. Yes. Anyways, let's go to.
I need to look into this cultic prostitution in the Bible, though. Like that's interesting.
Yeah, that makes Bible actually cooler than I thought, if it's true. Okay, let's go to the next. Okay, Suze, you need to move on. Yeah, I know you're still looking into this. The second Patreon question posted on Patreon was from D. D was asking, "Hi guys, many of us atheists find a support system online when we don't have one at home. What is your advice to those of us who lose our social media accounts? What then? Come here on our live streams and hang out with us. Ask us questions. We chill together. I go live often, on Atheist Republic, on my own personal channel, Armin Navabi, on the Secular Jihadist channel. Come here. We'll hang out together and we'll chill. We'll have fun."
Yeah, I think it depends on what platform you're on, right? So unless you've caused a lot of attention to be drawn to yourself, like Atheist Republic has, I think it's unlikely that just like a singular kind of like typical online atheist, while you might be edgy on any given platform, that might cause you to have issues with that platform. Like, I don't think it's likely that you're going to be targeted across platforms. Most people won't be. So if you get completely knocked out of one platform, you can find us, our community, or other communities on another one. I know it's not great because often you build relationships with people within the community of a specific platform. So if you're really concerned about this, I would get a backup account. Let the people who you want to stay in touch with, like another form of secondary contact information, if you want to maintain that relationship, of course, in a secure way. Kind of contingency plans like that. But otherwise, most people can get around with creating a second account on the same platform and trying to get in touch with people. Like, unless you've caused a lot of attention for eyes to be on you, most people can get away with that. It's not great because you probably built up a following you want to hold on to. And I have caused to deal with this. It's a nightmare for everyone.
I have had the government of Iran, Malaysia, and India, trying to get me off of social media. And I still have my Facebook. I lost my Twitter. I'm still. Oh yeah, we got look at that. We got another. You're muted. I don't know who you're talking to.
We should save this for a full segment.
No, but but just show them, everybody. We just got another legal complaint about our social media. This is a new one. If you, yes, this is a official legal file. This one got mailed to us. This one got mailed
to us today.
This is another legal complaint.
I've lost track.
Yeah, I think it's the fifth one now. But yeah, we're gonna cover that later. But yeah, I mean, I'm even with like 3 nations, I want to make it 7. My goal is to have 7 nations come after me. It's the government of 7 nations, so I could play the 7 nations. Because I want to play that song.
Life hard.
I want to play that song that says like a 7-nation army can't hold me back, right? I want to listen to that and be able to relate to it. But so far, it's like 3. So I just have 4. I need to piss off 4 other governments. No, but what was I saying? Oh yeah, so even like people like me and Susie who like keep rattling cages and stuff, we're still on social media. We still have our Facebook, right? I mean, you lost our Twitter. I lost my Instagram and my Facebook and my Twitter. But I mean, even then, like, we have multiple YouTube channels. I still get to come and hang out with you guys in lives. if you guys lose your Google accounts, you could just make a new one and then change the name again and then show up. It's pretty, yeah.
We missed some questions back at the top.
Okay, yeah. Before I do, one last Patreon question. Secular Rarity was saying in the next Q&A, shout out to the artists and tell them they effing rock. That's just last.
True. Well, also make sure to tell them personally.
Mm-hmm.
But shouts out to our artist. Okay. There's a question from Kirisu about the US dollar and the gold standard. Do we want to talk about that?
What?
About the gold standard. Okay. Here we
What's
go.
The gold standard?
Kirisu is asking, guys, what do you think would happen if the US dollar were to be put back on the gold standard today? For context, President Richard Nixon removed the USD from the gold standard in 1971. I know nothing about this, so I'll shut up.
I think that would be ridiculous. That would be impossible. You know, right now, I mean, United States currency is the currency used internationally for exchanges. You know, to limit that based on gold will basically lock up the entire international trade in a way that is like, it makes it completely inflexible. Also, United States is one of the most productive countries in the world. For it not to be able to print more dollars as there's more goods, I don't know. Okay, guys, I might be wrong about this, but there wouldn't be enough dollars chasing all the extra goods that are being made, right? So you need to be able to print more money, or else you're gonna have deflation. Like, a lot of people are worried about inflation. Nobody knows that deflation is actually a scarier thing that could happen. Like, you have more goods being produced and not enough dollars to represent those goods because your dollars are tied to the gold. That would be like, yeah, what do we do now? Like, so that wouldn't, maybe I'm mistaken here, but I don't think that makes any sense, right? And it is impossible to do that now. Like, you can't, there's no way to go back. It's unleashed. You have unleashed this dragon that is now dominating world economy, and you're like, oh, let's put the genie back in the bottle. You can't. Yeah. All right, next.
Blank Name is asking, I think you guys know more about this. That's why I ask. Do you know any newspaper where they let 17-year-olds write an opinion piece or about a topic? I found competition once every year. I'm not quite sure what you mean by the competition part. My grammar is not as bad as it looks here, and I'm well versed in topics like human rights, animal rights for a 17-year-old. I'm a good researcher too. Yeah, my grammar and spelling is horrendous in the live chat, so I don't blame you. Well, you can actually write for Atheist Republic if you like. We welcome people to submit blogs. If you have a topic you want to cover, just email me at Susanna@atheistrepublic.com. You don't have to disclose your name on our website, if you don't want to, or it could be under an alias or fake name. If it was on our site, it would be, kind of in line with the topics we normally cover. I don't know if you're looking for a writing contest or something, but I know that Humanist Canada has the Young Humanists Essay Writing Contest, because one of the directors of Atheist Republic actually is involved with this essay contest. I don't know if that's exclusive to Canadians, but I think that'd be really interesting to look into, is the Humanist Essay Writing Contest.
How can they reach you if somebody wants to write for Atheist Republic? How can they reach you? Susanna@atheistrepublic.com. Yeah, and we can talk about like the topic or what you want to cover, and of course it'd be fact-checked and edited by our team, but we're open to stuff like that. So if you have something that like you want to cover, that you think maybe we're missing, I'm all ears. All right, next question.
Okay. Blank name again is asking, in my opinion, you guys have a medium bit age gap. So how do you guys deal with conflicts that there arise, since there's probably a difference in power dynamics?
Between
This
me
is a
and
very
me and
interesting
Suze?
yeah, this is very interesting.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm in the same age group as Susanna.
I mean, you're 12 years older than me.
Well, I don't feel it.
Yeah,
Wait.
I mean, true. I'm like, this.
partly because I'm a bit childish, and partly because
Yeah.
Susanna is like very professional, and I don't know, and also because she's very, I don't know, mature, and I don't know, she's way ahead of me when it comes to, you know, knowledge and experience when I was her age. So I think the gap looks a lot smaller given how mature she is and how childish I am.
Yeah, it's an
Simple.
interesting question, though. Like, I don't know. I've thought about this stuff before, but I think I don't feel any sort of power dynamic because of the difference in our age, partly because you can't even remember how old you are most days. But if it's mostly if sometimes I feel intimidated isn't exactly the right word, but I'm aware of how much more experience you have or more knowledge on certain things. But I don't find that to be intimidating in a bad way. I think it's an advantage because I have the benefit of having your experience be available to me, right? You're just more knowledgeable in certain things because you've been doing this for a decade over longer, you know, way longer than me.
Yeah, but you keep catching up on things too fast. It's kind of scary. I'm worried. Ghost26, Susie is boss. That's how the dynamics work. Dynamic work. Oh, and Soha is putting your email for people who want to reach out to you. There you go.
Thank you.
Soha. Do you like unicorns? I haven't tasted one yet.
Perfect answer. I don't think we're going to say anything else.
All right.
Guys, make sure to tag Atheist Republic with your questions so it's easier for me to find them. Oh, okay. Here's another one from Kurisu. Can you tell from my accent that I took Japanese? Do you think an authoritarian regime for a short time would work well in a poorer countries like India/Pakistan? Chile came out better post Pinochet. Albania is another example. This is a very oversimplified answer that is probably kind of dumb, but this is the first thing that came to my mind. Like, very short term, if there wasn't a big death toll, like I'm gonna take those sort of things out of the equation. Like, if they did a really good job building up infrastructure that could then the next, like, hopefully a democratic regime following could still take advantage of, like, I think that would be a positive. But everything else is a no thank you. I don't know, Armin, what do you think?
Wait, so the question is that authoritarian regimes will be more productive in a short term, right? More.
Would they work well? Like, is there any benefit? Is there any benefit to a short term dictatorship? Like,
I mean,
I said is actually not exclusive to it being a dictatorship. Like, if a lot of
Would your life be better in the short term if you just pay everything with your credit cards as if you don't have to pay it back? Yes, you're going to have a very good month, maybe. I don't know. It's going to be things are going to be a lot better. It seems like they're going to be a lot better if you just act like this is, you know, like it's working out in the short term. Seems pretty good, right? So the short term part is the key. Okay, there are certain situations where democracy seems very inefficient, unproductive. But have you seen any authoritarian regimes that were like, we're just here for the short term, just to fix this, and then after the short term benefits, we're just going to step aside, right? And let's democracy do its thing after that, right? So
I'll let you take
Yeah.
it from here.
I'll let you like, yeah, we came here, we fixed things, and now that it's cleaned up, now that authoritarianism did its job, now because for longer term benefits, we're going to step back and let democracy take over, right? So the problem is, like, even in the short term, if there are certain things that could be fixed that a democracy can't fix, what we care about is the long-term benefits of a regime, not the short-term benefits of a regime. And if you think the short-term authoritarianism is better, the thing is that no authoritarian regime is just going to stay just for the short term. They're here to stay. So the fact that the cost benefit over the long term seems to be in favor of democracy always. That's how you should analyze which regime is better. You shouldn't focus on the short term. You should focus on the long term, right?
Blank Name has another very good question. Blank Name asks a lot of like good skeptic questions about like becoming a better thinker and undoing bias. I love it. They're asking, what do you think of the argument that asking for scientific evidence for God is not fair because God is outside of the natural world? They give an ontological Kalam argument for belief in the world outside of the natural world.
Define outside of nature, because I define nature as everything that exists, right? So based on my definition, saying God is outside of nature is just a fancy way of saying there is no God.
Yeah.
I mean, science, when you say the realm of science is the natural world, for me, that means the realm of science is everything, right? Because there is nothing other than the natural world. And if there is anything else, then by definition of what is the natural world, that would be part of nature. Like, the people who are saying there is a world outside of natural world, they haven't even done anything to even, before they could even prove that there's a world outside of natural world, they first have to define what it means to be outside of the natural world. They haven't even begun to define what it means to be outside of the natural world, let alone prove it. Right? Yeah, I mean, I agree. You can't. Science doesn't have authority over the unnatural world because there is not such a thing. Okay, and I agree. Yes, your God is outside of the natural world because there is no God. Yeah. Murtad. Before you highlight that, Murtad Skeptic is saying exactly. This is why I don't get the supernatural. Like, what is the supernatural? If it exists, that's the new. Now that's natural. Right. Good.
All very logically sound. And this is in regards to you trying to get more nations to turn against you. Kirisu is arguing. Kurisu is saying, then you would do well by learning Turkish, starting an AR Turkish channel, and blaspheming against Islam. Erdogan will come after you in no time. I think this is actually a solid plan.
I have a faster plan. Let's make art on Erdogan. Let's make an art about him.
Snap, you're right. What would he be doing?
I'll think of something.
He should be doing something to show how he, in practicalities, like views himself as higher than Muhammad. Or we could do how he's using Muhammad for his own like nationalism, how we did with the Khamenei one.
We could make him have Muhammad on a leash attacking Ataturk like a dog, losing Muhammad like a dog, where he's attacking Ataturk.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we got it.
Nailed it.
Guys, we wanted to do Modi versus Yogi Bear. What's his name again? Yogi
Aditya or something like that. Yogi.
We wanted to make it them making out, but our Indian lawyers are like, nah. but we wanna, and they were like, nah.
They said in such good lawyer language, we strongly advise against no.
Okay. I mean, yeah. All right.
I
Okay,
was
go next
speaking of,
question.
I'm meeting with our lawyers tomorrow to talk about this. What else? Looking for another tag. D is asking, what are your thoughts on the situation in Haiti? I haven't been following it very closely after President Moise was assassinated. I know that his wife has, I think, left the hospital and has returned to Haiti, possibly after she was almost killed in the assassination. I think that this is, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think it might take a long time to untangle. I know that one of their prime minister, interim prime minister, stepped down because there's almost a power vacuum going on. And I don't really have any thoughts on the situation besides just kind of a bare bones awareness of what's happening, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been following it in detail, just other than the basic events that happen. Yeah.
Oh, Lewis has such a nice thing to say. Lewis is saying, I'm about 50 years older than Susanna, and I'm impressed with her knowledge and ability to articulate. She is great. Oh, thank you, Lewis. I miss you. We used to have such good patron calls together.
Well, Lewis is not just any 50. I mean, this is a major compliment because Lewis is not just like just wise because she's 50 years old. Lewis was is as a scientist, right?
Yes.
So that's where like a compliment from her would mean a lot.
Yeah. It was really interesting to talk to her about like sexism in science when she was coming up and her attitude about it.
Sorry, I mean, I didn't say 50, I said 50-year-old. I said 50-year-old older. Anyways,
yes.
Next.
Oh, here's another one. Okay, it's a quote. Quote, if God doesn't exist, everything is permitted. This is by Dostoevsky. I can barely say it. What is your opinion on that?
Everything is permitted by who? Everything is everything permitted by nature? And well, yeah, because nature doesn't have the ability. Nature and the universe does not have the ability to not permit anything because nature is not conscious. So if you were waiting for nature to hold you back on your immoral behavior, then you would be very disappointed. Nature doesn't give a crap. But no, everything is not permitted because we as human beings in a civilized society will not permit you. Even if nature doesn't stop you from drawing red lines to tell you this is not okay. Nature, it's not going to come and say, hey, man, this is not cool. Stop it. Cut it out. Nature's not going to do that. You know who will? We will. The society. Like, if you want to harm other people, we're not going to permit you. Like, oh, everything is... If there is no God, everything is permitted. Well, try it. Well, don't try it because you're going to regret it. We're going to make you regret it. We're not going to let you do that. We're going to put you to jail. Or if it's not a crime, we're going to shame and embarrass you. We're going to make your life miserable for being a scumbag. Right? We're going to make sure you regret doing things that harms other people. So no, it's not. If God, we don't need God to stop you from being an asshole. We're gonna stop you. It's nonsense. Like, everything is permitted. Well, try it. I mean, look at the prison system. We have a justice system. We have the police. We have army. So it's so. Open your eyes. We are look. How about this? Who is this idiot? I don't know. Oh, this guy. I mean, guys, if you actually believe this, step outside naked and then see what happens. Okay? I'm like, well, why are you doing this to me? There's no God. I'm like, okay, you're still going to jail. You're still going to jail. There is no God, though. The universe doesn't have any red lines. Like, but we do, motherfucker. Anyway.
Oh, that's the kind of language we're using today. I interpret this more as a statement about like objective morality.
I know. That's my entire point. We don't need the universe to have red lines. We as human beings, we will have our own red lines. We don't need a universe to introduce that to us.
Okay, next question. Mr. V is asking Armin and Susanna, do you think a deistic god is harmless compared to gods of organized religions? I would say probably less harmful. I don't think it is entirely devoid of harm.
It's a gateway god. No, but I mean, it's nonsense. Like, okay, do I believe that the belief in palm reading is less harmful than belief in Allah? Yeah, obviously, right? Or like, yeah, but that's not saying much. You are picking one of the most harmful ideas in the world and comparing some other superstitious nonsense to it. I mean, like, is this harmful? Yeah, but it just because that's a very easy standard to meet. You know what I mean? Like, is a shit sandwich less disgusting than a double shit sandwich? Yeah, okay, but it's still a shit sandwich. Belief in falsehood, belief in superstition, by its very nature is harmful, because belief in promoting gullibility in a way that people believe in things without evidence, even if it directly doesn't, that belief itself directly doesn't lead to people doing harmful things, it's allowing it's an encouragement of not having any logical filters for what you believe in. And once you open that floodgate, there's no saying what can make it through, right? If you don't have, a bullshit radar where you could detect that, well, this is a belief system that I have that without any evidence, then your bullshit radar is broken, and you're going to let other things in that doesn't deserve to be in your belief system as well. And that's why its very nature is harmful.
Exactly. Oh, this is interesting. If one of the gods of the major religions turned out to be real, which one would you prefer?
Athena.
No, I don't. That's not a major religion. That's a dead
I know.
religion.
I just had a crush on Athena, so
I get it. What's the chillest Hindu goddess that is the most chill? Like, Mohini sounds kind of cool. She's the only female avatar of Vishnu, and I think she was a prostitute. And she used her little spinner to slice
Who can
off
afford
the
a
head
goddess
of a demon. What do you mean?
She's a prostitute? A goddess prostitute?
Well, her like avatar is. Okay. I've seen it kind of interpreted.
I'm
that
just
way.
wondering, like, who would be able to afford that? That seems like, I don't think it's like
I think
the most expensive.
She took the form of a prostitute to be in this one story to like trick and to distract some demons. It was part of her disguise, like one of her tactics. That's how I
demons. Do demons have money? Anyways, let me actually think about it.
It's not that they have money; it's that they are horny. And she
but they still have to. But she still needs to charge for it. Okay. Let me think. Actually, which major? Okay, I mean, you're not giving that many options, okay, right? Because how many major religions we have? Just 4, right? We have Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, and I'm assuming the Hinduism, one of the gods being true, means that the entire religion is true. So all of the gods all of a sudden becomes real, right? I mean, I guess I will pick Hinduism's god, because if one of their god is real, all of them is real, and then the real world ends up becoming like a Marvel. Like, that would be pretty cool. Just how many, I mean, I don't know. It's going to become the world will become a horrible place, just having gods fighting with each other and all that stuff with demons. But it's more, but it will be entertaining, right?
I
Like
think
just
I don't know. So I wouldn't
I'm-
want to go with any of the Abrahamic gods. That's a
Yeah.
no-go. I've been
that would
traumatized.
leaves Hinduism only.
Yeah, so we're talking Hinduism. They got like what 330 million gods to choose from. Okay, I only know like the big hitters. Shiva seems like a bad boy, so I'm into that. But I don't know if he's done anything terrible. I know that Krishna had a bunch of brides that were underage, so not so much into that.
I think Vishnu
Yeah,
seems like the least harmful one. Krishna is like could like destroy things. Kali might chop our heads off.
Kali's pretty freaking intense.
She's intense. Like
She's very
if she's
intense.
alive, we don't know what's gonna happen. She might like go on a rampage.
And burn
And
down
if
the whole world.
if we're bringing one god back, then you could if you bring Kali back and not her husband, then her rampage will go on forever until everyone is dead. Right?
But if you bring her husband and his penis falls off, then the whole world burns.
True, Shiva's penis falling off.
Will
is
burn the
dangerous.
whole world. That's
Yeah, and then we don't
life.
have, and then we don't have like another goddess's vagina to hold the penis to stop the world from burning.
Yeah, we need.
This is why I'm going with the safest option of bringing Vishnu. Vishnu
Okay.
seems to be harmless.
Can the
Vishnu is
ex-Hindus,
harmless, right?
can the ex-Hindus in the chat tell us the most problematic things about Vishnu so I can see if I need to make a more informed decision? What if I Google problematic things about Vishnu? Also,
Vishnu.
Krishna was the one who was talking. He like was really big into caste. He killed. He was trying to.
Yeah,
he killed Shambhuka.
Yeah.
Like I'm not
Krishna
into
is-
that.
No. Oh yeah, you're right.
And the whole story with Arjuna saying like it's okay because their dharma has already. It's okay to like murder these armies because their dharma is already bad. Or so I'm not articulating it right, but you know the story I'm referring to, right?
Yeah. Anyways, let's go back. Oh, Lakshmi is also nice.
Yes.
She gives wealth. Yes, you're right. Lakshmi is actually pretty harmless as well. All right, next.
What do you think about the whole Jeff Bezos going to space thing? It's just a thing to you, and all the people pissed off at him. Armin, what is your take? Are you, eat the rich billionaire, or are you, yay,
I think
space capitalism, take us to the moon?
I think this proves that we need more billionaires. I think this
Hot
proves
libertarian take.
No, I mean, I'm being serious. I'm not joking. This proves that the world needs more billionaires. And I think that this is such a great, this shows that taxpayers are saving a lot of money because billionaires are funding space exploration. So your tax dollars are less needed for such a thing. Like, do people understand that the fact that we're having private people with their own money funding space exploration means that you as an individual doesn't have to pay for it through your tax money? Like they're easing the burden on you,
Sir,
right?
Isn't that the exact argument that Ben Shapiro made?
Wait, did he? Well, I mean,
Yeah.
he doesn't. Well,
So part of it, we were watching it last night.
Oh yeah, well, it's true. Okay, here's the thing. A lot of people think like space exploration is, but hey, this is also, don't like compare me to Ben. This is also the argument that Neil deGrasse Tyson makes. So it's not just Ben Shapiro. Okay, Neil deGrasse Tyson also makes. Yeah, don't do this to me. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson also says this is private people using their private money to do something that they enjoy, but also benefits humanity. Guys, space exploration, like funding space exploration, is not. It's a type of entertainment for these people that is also pushing, funding scientific exploration, and scientific exploration has so many positive externalities in our lives that that the government, like the positive externalities might even make it beneficial for the government to even pay half of the bill. Be like, okay, if people want to go to space, the government fund, just like the government funds education because of the positive externalities it has beyond. So when two people are trading, the society is getting better because both people are coming off better from the trade that they have with each other. Like, let's say person A trades with person B, and because of this trade, society is better because both A and B are happy with this trade. So the utility of A increases and the utility of B increases at the same time, right? So, but there are sometimes negative externalities. For example, if their trade increases pollution, right? Therefore, the government comes tax it because they're like, okay, the market is blind to your negative externality, so we need to tax this. But sometimes A and B do a trade with each other and they're both happy, but it has positive externalities like health or education, right? So the government is like, okay, the market is blind to the fact that this is more beneficial than just you two being happy, so we're going to come and subsidize this, right? So that's the argument for government. I'm saying that as a libertarian, there's good arguments for government intervention. This is one of those things, and the government isn't even funding it, other than actually the government is technically funding it because you are inheriting a lot of scientific knowledge that the government originally funded before, right? Like, or through like universities, so, or through previous space explorations that were funded by the government. So even if the government is not directly funding this, you're still benefiting from all the things that government funded before. But the government could take a back seat more and more when private institutions or private individuals are wealthy enough to fund these things themselves, right? There are certain things that no private institution or no individual can do or do it well, and the government comes and does it themselves directly or through private partnership. But it's beneficial for society for the government to step back as the economy grows far enough for private people and private institutions to be able to come. This will save the taxpayer money because now these services are being provided through other ways, right? So if the more billionaires you have, the less your tax money has to be spent on things that are beneficial for society. The less the government has to step in, and the more taxpayer will save their money, and still society will reap the benefits, right? We need more billionaires. Yeah. The only problem with billionaires, okay, here's the thing. There's only two problems with billionaires, okay? The fact that when you have billions of dollars, you could challenge democracy because money can have, people with a lot of money could influence law and politicians, right? That's the one problem with having billionaires, right? Another problem with billionaire is jealousy, right? People's happiness is not determined by how much wealth they have, but by how much they compare the wealth they have to the riches of the rich. So the gap, like, again, I always say, if you have a hut and everyone around you is homeless, you feel very rich. But if you have a hut and everyone around you has a mansion, you feel extremely poor. So one problem with capitalism is that it measures like happiness based on how much comfort and wealth people have. But people measure their own happiness not based on their own level of wealth, but their own level of wealth compared to other people. And you could act like this is irrational and people shouldn't think like that, but this built within our nature. So, and capitalism doesn't take account of that. This is like a source of unhappiness that needs to be, that is one of the weaknesses of capitalism that doesn't take that into account.
Mm-hmm. And I don't really have a strong opinion on this. D is saying, did you get to see the Satanic Temple ceremony on the secular cross? American Atheists and Freedom from Religion Foundation are handling the courts, and the Satanic Temple is doing a great job challenging society. I agree.
We covered this in the news.
We talked about it. If they actually had a ceremony like officiating their symbolic kind of adoption of this monument, I didn't see that. I would love to actually see footage of that. because I can imagine the reaction from the local community. Okay, looking for another question.
Here's the thing. I do want to don't lose that question, but I do want to address this. Mr. V saying Indian government is wasting their money on cow dung research and homeopathy. We are F. India has a space program. You guys we complain about many things in India, but do not dismiss the good things about India as well. Okay,
but they do literally have that.
I know, but they do have, these are problems, right? But don't look at just one side of, don't just look at the problems in your country. Also realize that there are also, India is ahead in so many ways compared to other countries, right? So yeah, these are problems. But I mean, how many countries get to say that they have a space program? So there's, just keep that in mind as well. It's not black and white. That's all I'm saying. Anyways. All right, next question.
Did you check out the video "Who Are the Tamils" by Cogito? I would love your opinion on that. You might attract some real nasty hate, although not to the level of Hindutva. That's actually been coming up in my recommended a lot recently.
Okay, let's look into it then.
I haven't seen it. Oh boy, here we go. Meg Hat Atheist is saying, do you think that wokeism is causing a religious conservative backlash? What not have I'm going to rephrase this. Would this have not happened without leftist radicalism? Okay, there is a conservative backlash, but I think it is become a McCarthy-esque backlash where they just turn woke and CRT now it means anything that just generally opposes racism. And it's I think the way that the Republican establishment or conservatives have now handled this issue is more akin to a witch hunt than anything actually productive that actually challenges the ideas that are being put forth by academic theories like critical race theory. They don't engage with them. They just put a ban on them in schools, which is stupid, possibly illegal.
Right.
But Armin, do you think that this would not have happened without leftist radicalism? Is this the left's fault?
I mean, it's actually true. I think so, but to be fair, the wokeism also is a reaction to right-wing bigotry, right? So it's like a pendulum that overreacts on both sides, right? But also reacts in good ways as well, right? So, for example, you have a lot of bigotry in society, discrimination against and sexism, right? And you get what you saw. What the left did was come up with a proper reaction to that. I mean, if you look at the left is the home to in the West is you have to give the left credit for being the source of the greatest human rights movement in the past century, right? So when it comes to women's rights, gay rights, trans rights, minority rights, all the ideas of all the liberal values were championed and successfully normalized through left-leaning activists, right? So the bigotry and the sexism that was coming from the religious right was challenged and successfully defeated in so many battles, not all of them, by the challenge that came from the left, okay? However, the success of this movement was so good and so effective that it became so popular that some people on the fringes took it to extreme levels, okay? And those people who took it to extreme, right, like the radical leftists that you mentioned, are used by a lot of right-leaning people to dismiss the left as a whole, right? But again, we shouldn't forget that the left was responsible for normalization of a lot of the life and the rights of a lot of people that were completely dismissed or marginalized by right-leaning people. The left successfully challenged all that, and this focus on the people who are going extremely, like going to taking these movements to extreme levels, this focus on that is an attempt to make it seem like this whole left thing is ridiculous and should be dismissed, right? So, but however, so now you look at these, I don't know, woke scold or whatever you want to call them, radical left or whatever, and now the reaction to that, some people are reacting to that, some people from the left also reacting to that, and we're like, this is crazy, this is insane, and we shouldn't do this. Like, we should be the sane left versus instead of like this ridiculous left. And if they were called out, right? However, some people who used to not be bigots have now taken this anti-wokeism movement to a place where the pendulum is now swinging to the other side. Like, some people are like, yes, this wokeism is insane, this is not right, but they are also now getting, and that was like calling out wokeism was very successful, right? We could see a lot of left-leaning people also calling it out as well. But because that was very successful, now a lot of people who were jumping on the anti-woke bandwagon were also now going like, hey guys, you're going into the bigoted side, you're going into actually being homophobic and transphobic side, you're actually going to the racist side, you're going actually to the sexist side. Like, we're anti-woke, but don't go crazy with your anti-wokeness. And now the pendulum is now for some of these anti-woke people is now going to the, like, okay, now you have joined the bigoted side. You have gone too far with your anti-wokeness. But go on.
What I think is really interesting, and this is just in my personal observations, I think it's very interesting I think a lot of these people who started off on like the liberal left, criticizing the illiberal left, you know, from a generalizing term, anti-woke perspective, swinging too far and then going into an area of bigotry. It seems to me that this bigotry is almost singularly focused towards the trans community, specifically transgender women. I find it very interesting. Like, a lot of people who I agree on many of their criticisms of the illiberal left, I really much disagree with the way they talk about the trans community, the I don't know, the way that they talk about the like gender ideology, as they call it, when really they're talking about critical theory, like specifically looking at gender, like it makes them lose their mind in a way on other topics that I don't see them go so far off the left field. And it's really disturbing and disappointing to me, because I don't know what it is about the transgender community, but for these anti-woke types who have gone too far, they make the mistake that I've seen often. It's not, you know, broadly necessarily true, that where they assign the opinions or behavior of the most insane, radical transgender rights activist nutjob on Twitter, you know, and they assign the behavior of that type of person, that ideology, that way of thinking, that way of behaving of that type of person to the entire transgender community, or again, more specifically, towards transgender women. And it's not fair. It's not accurate. And I really hate seeing that. Yeah, exactly. Retard skeptics calling it nut picking. Like when there are a lot of people in the community who disagree with that way of thinking, acting, etc. And I think that's one thing that I've really not liked about a lot of so-called anti-woke people lately, is I've noticed that pattern more and more, is this specific animosity towards transgender women. They call them misogynists, for example. It gets very weird and gender critical and like turfy flavors, kind of. It really, I don't know, a lot of it disturbs me.
Yeah.
I
Anyways,
found,
let's
I
pick.
found a compliment for you.
Well, highlight it. What are you waiting
Yes.
for?
Lone Gamer is saying, I read the book PDF you guys suggested to me, and I love the simplicity of it. And as a dudist priest and a gamer, me likey. Well,
Ah,
you guys, if you want to know what Lone Gamer 89 is talking about, you should sign up for our newsletter, link in the description below, because you get a free PDF of Armin's book, Why There Is No God, seen right here. This is very handy for if you're dealing with theists who are asking you a lot of questions that are full of logical fallacies to you about the existence of God. Like half the time I just tell them to read this because I don't want to explain it all
we're
myself.
giving it, guys. This is a bestseller on Amazon, and we're giving it away to you for free. Link in the description. You get it for free.
Yes, or you can go to
Hold on.
atheistrepublic.com/newsletter and sign up that way.
Mhm.
So now that we got that plug in,
Like it. That's the best compliment I ever gotten of my book. Me
this isn't a question, but it's kind of a comment on your position on Jeff Bezos going to the moon. How about Jeff funds his employees' health benefits before he funds space travel?
Well, you're mixing Jeff's personal money with the company's money. With Jeff or Amazon. So are you criticizing Jeff or Amazon? Like Jeff funds his employees' health benefits with his own personal money? That doesn't seem like how anything works, right? But if you think like Amazon should use Amazon money to fund the employee, that would make more sense if your request was like maybe Amazon should use Amazon money, to fund their health benefits. That would be a more reasonable request than having a CEO of a company use his own personal funds to do that. That would make no sense. Nothing works like that. Nothing works like that.
In the live chat, people are jumping down my throat for me saying like, "Oh, isn't that what Ben Shapiro said?" Like, guys, I know I was kidding. I'm not committing the genetic fallacy. Jesus. Sabella Tora 2 is asking, if you could choose to have any superpower, what would you choose? I think we've talked about this before, but I forget what your answer was.
To turn back time.
Oh, yeah, because you said that it's like all the superpowers in one, or many superpowers in one.
Yeah.
What did I say?
You know how much reading I would be able to get done in one day? Just read one book and then turn back the time to read another book and just turn back the time. And then keep like doing that forever.
Right now, I want...
Also, like... Yeah. No, go on.
Right now, I want to be able to teleport because all the borders are closed.
Again, my superpower covers that.
You have a point.
Yeah. That's the only superpower you need is to be able to turn back time. You also have immortality.
Wait,
by turning back.
For what I need, that wouldn't work. Okay, looking for more questions.
There was a good. I saw a good question. Oh, actually, here's a comment. Megahead Atheist saying, I agree with some of your points, but I also would debate you on other points, but this is not the venue. Some personal issues prevent me from having a reasonable conversation. Right. Oh, I mean, you seem to be very self-aware of your biases. That's pretty good.
That's very commendable.
Yeah, that is very. And also the fact that you're talking to people you disagree with and considering their points, that's also very commendable. Yeah, that's pretty nice. A lot of people are not like that.
Yeah. What's your opinion on Bill C-10? America Light? What's up with anti-American sentiment in Canada? Many, but not all people. What is Bill C-10?
It's an inferiority complex.
You've said this many times to me.
Yes. No, Canada's like Canadians like we're so much isn't it so good that we're not Americans? Said the people that an entire culture and economy depends on United States. Like I'm telling you, like Canada's entire economy and culture is based on the United States. And they're like, but we hate America. Like, look, we're so better. We have healthcare. Yeah, you have healthcare because you don't have to spend so much money on the military because America is protecting you. I'm simplifying it. I'm kidding, but no, Canada is better in so many ways, but it's easier to make Canada. I mean, Canada's entire population is less than California, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there United States is a much more complicated country to run. It's like it's easy to be judgmental, but okay.
What is Bill C-10 and why are the Liberals planning to regulate the internet? Advocates for Bill C-10 say that it will ensure Canadian artists are supported as their work is increasingly consumed by global streaming giants. Critics warn it could potentially curtail freedom of speech or limit access to some websites. So this is some sort of internet regulatory thing. This is
let's not get into it
way
because we
too
don't know
niche
much
for
about it.
me.
Yeah, Base Gandhi is saying Canadian nationalism is based on an inferiority complex. True. That is so true. And Canada is America's 51 state. It is.
No, not even. We have territories first. You guys are coming back of the line. I'm kidding. We got Guam. We got Puerto Rico. Come on, don't cut the line. You got to get in the back.
And I say that as a Canadian, by the way.
Me.
All right, last question. I saw some good ones that you missed.
Okay, I keep jumping around in the chat, so because of StreamYard. So if you find a good one, just go for it.
Okay, I'm gonna answer this as a way to, as an excuse to promote Masih Halinejad. Okay.
Yes.
This is the last question. Which countries, regions in the world produce the fiercest feminists today? I don't know which one of them is going to produce the fiercest feminists. However, I am going to mention that Iran is producing. I don't know if they're the fiercest, but they are at least some of the fiercest feminists in the world right now, and rightfully so. And Masih Halinejad, guys. I could objectively say the fiercest feminist in the world is Masih Halinejad. It would have to be Iran. Okay, I know I'm sounding biased right now. I'm usually not. I'm usually trying to be very objective about these things. I'm not a nationalist in any way, but I don't know if you guys saw in the news, Masih Halinejad had Iran's government send spies and operatives to kidnap her in New York, to take her on a boat to Venezuela and then kidnap her all the way to Iran so that they could bring her to Iran and make a parade out of her on national TV and then execute her by hanging. Okay. When you have one woman, just because of the things that she's saying, an entire government, being so afraid of your activism and so desperate to eliminate you, to go beyond just suppressing you people within your borders, to actually risk and challenge, like especially right now when the Vienna talks are happening, they're so desperate to take you out that at this sensitive time, they are like, forget international relationship, forget the international consequences. We need to take this woman out. The fact that you are this big of a threat to a government that they would have to resort to, they feel like they have to resort to such tactics, that makes you the fiercest, most badass feminist that I know of. There might be others, okay? But it would have to be Masih Halinejad. So I would say Iran.
I think yes. And the feminists in Afghanistan. Like, the Afghani feminists are so brave, like so much braver than I could ever hope to be. It's actually almost hard for me to comprehend.
So so people are saying, what's the name of that woman? Masih Halinejad, right? And actually, you're right. Also, I actually agree. Masih Halinejad is awesome, but in general, I feel like Saudi feminists are the fiercest as a group. Yes, okay. I was just using. I wasn't trying to say any of them are better. I was just using it as an excuse to say, bring up Masih Halinejad. I mean, the feminists in Saudi Arabia, they do this. They do what they do after a lot of their colleagues have been arrested and tortured in prison, and they still continue to do the work they do. So that is very impressive. And also, these people are braver than I would ever be in 100 lifetimes, right? So, also the woman that you mentioned in Afghanistan, one thing that came to my mind as you mentioned that was I was watching this interview with this Afghan feminist, and the reporter asked her, the Taliban is taking over. Are you going to stay in Afghanistan? And she was like, yes. And the reporter asked, when did you make the decision to stay in Afghanistan? And she said, I made that decision to stay in Afghanistan when I was being beaten up in the street in front of my daughter for my feminist activism by the Taliban. She was being beaten while she was being beaten up on the ground. She decided at that point that most people were like, I would think like your thought were like, I'm leaving this country, I'm never coming back. But when she was being beaten up in the street while she was being beaten up, her thought is like, I'm never leaving this country, because like she felt like this country needs help. That's, I don't know, that's impressive. You go on.
It is very impressive. I just realized something. It's very weird when I look at our Patreon account for this episode where we say post your questions, for this episode. On the back end, it says we have 6 comments on this post. When I click on it, I only see 3. And this came to my attention because I think I saw a comment from D. Bordeaux, which is maybe being censored by a Patreon. And she was asking us about the NXIVM cult and the recent judgment that was put down against Keith Raniere, who was the leader of the NXIVM sex cult. And I'm so glad that I think Dee is still here, that I just remembered this. Did you hear about this and how he has to pay like several $1 million to the victims, including he has to pay for their scar removal because they were branded in his like sex cult sorority?
We should cover this on the news.
Oh my gosh, yes. I didn't even know you. Oh, do you know about the NXIVM cult in general?
No.
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 Oh my god. This is so up my alley. Like I'm not as knowledgeable about this cult as I am about a lot of other ones, but I've been following it, and it's very intense.
All right, but we need to go. We're over an hour.
True. I was about to really get into it.
No, I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know what you're talking about. All right, guys, this was fun. Thank you for the great questions. I like the fact that we the quality of questions in the live chat is really high. Like we removed a whole bunch of trolls, and now we're just saying more subtle, interesting questions coming. It's easier to see them and find them.
The geopolitics. I'm shocked that no one asked us about the Pegasus. That was the biggest. The Pegasus story is the biggest story of the freaking last 7 years, in my opinion.
Whoa. Okay, I think
the implications of the Pegasus hacking is going to be one of the most pertinent questions of our immediate.
All right. Okay, before you start opening that can of worms, Carissa is saying good stream. Blank name is saying thank you guys for your answers. They were really fun to listen to. Heart. And please look into Bill C10. Okay, well, if I remember, yep. Thank you for your good answers. Oh, you guys are sweet. Talking about Kabbalah. I mean, I'm not into the mysticism that much yet, but maybe I will. I'd like to congratulate myself for not trolling Armin for his vest.
Not a vest. But thank you for not
But
trolling.
thank you.
Hey, and music guys,
Oh.
everyone, hit that like button.
Yes, please, guys. It does really help us. Please like the channel and leave comments after.
We're a struggling channel because we're too naughty.
We're naughty.
We don't appease the YouTube gods. We don't talk about cats and investing and what is YouTube like? Unboxing. I'm trying to use keywords. Puppies.
Insurance, home insurance. Anyway.
Yeah.
Right,
real estate.
All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.